Hello, here we are.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha. Namaste. Good evening. Welcome to Eyes of Indigo. And tonight you can see we are three heads, three talking heads instead of two. I am Margot. Obviously, our names are on there. Iris is on the other side. Our guest tonight is Dale Stacy in the middle. As you can figure out, hello. We are very, very grateful. Guys, if you are a regular of our show, welcome back. We're happy to see you. And if you're new to the channel, you're very welcome, and we're glad that you're here as well. If you're not familiar with the credentials of me or Iris or Dale, we can send you to a couple of places to find that out. For Dale, you can go to earthstarspiritualcenter.org.
Yes.
And learn all about where Dale has been and where he is and a part of where he's going to go by design. And you can learn more about my background and Iris's background on the very first episode of Eyes of Indigo. And it's called The Prequel, episode 1, September of 2020, which lets you know that we've been doing this weekly since September of 2020. And if you are interested in back topics or seeing stuff we've done before, you certainly can. They're recorded on Facebook and YouTube, or you can catch us in just plain audio on iTunes, Spotify, and all of those aggregates as well for past recordings. You can also learn more about Iris at iriscarter.com. And on that website, you can find the EOI directory, which will let you search and find specific topics attached to what particular episode that you want to listen to. And my personal website, indigoanswers.com, for more information about what else I do. So tonight we have a unique show with a unique guest who is a returning honored guest of ours, Dale Stacy.
Thank you.
Iris.
Kind.
Thank you. Take it away, guys.
Yeah, so just to Dale, we're gonna let you talk in just a second. But this was our program for tonight. It's the Huna Hawaiian Energy Healing with Shells, and Dale is is a great guy and is wonderfully good at sharing all this Hawaii stuff, and you can tell by the colors in the background. His home is in all the Hawaiian colors. It's just such a peaceful oasis when
serene.
Yes, and so check out Earth Star Energy, and check out Dale's got books and information. But we were excited to be able to welcome him to talk about seashells as healing energy. And also every so often here I want to pop up. Lisa is here. We say hello to Lisa, and if you have any comments or questions as we go along, please pop them up. So Dale, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for having me this evening. So wonderful.
Always. So if you have questions during the show, to reiterate what Iris was saying just a second ago, please, we encourage you, pop in, say hi, say aloha, say hello. Say what the fuck, right? Namaste. Maybe not the same sentence, but but let us know you're out there. Please tag in with us, and feel free to ask questions as we go. We highly encourage it, and we appreciate you guys being out there doing that. So tonight, where do we want to start? Iris?
Well, we got the Huna Hawaiian Energy Healing. Because Dale sent me these pretty pictures, and I really like them. So, Dale, what's going on here?
Yeah, so with the Huna, 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 that just means hidden or secret. And it's not that the philosophy is hidden or secret from non-Hawaiians. It's hidden or secret in the language itself. So that's why it's very important that we understand the Hawaiian Polynesian language, and we're able to use that as an energetic vibration as we do our healing. And the way that we use our Huna healing is we visualize a rainbow. As you can imagine, it's Hawaii, it's Polynesia. for those who are Reiki healers, of course, we use a blue Reiki ray. But in Huna, we use a Hawaiian rainbow ray. And the way we move that energy from palm to palm or from our hands to the stressed or painful area is we inhale on one place and we exhale on the other place. And we visualize this beautiful rainbow arc as it goes, leaves our hands and goes right into that area of the body that we want to heal. So that's the visualization, the rainbow for Huna.
That is cool.
Very
Rainbows
cool.
have been popping up lately for me.
Same here. I'm shooting weddings on the beach and rainbows are showing up in the skies. I mean, not at the typical edge of a rainstorm, but I'm getting dogs, not dog stars, sun dogs.
Yes. Yeah, the two
Yeah,
little light
two on each side. Yep, I'm getting sun dog spots, all kinds of. There's a lot of promises in the sky lately.
Yes.
So now explain again, what is a sundog spot? Because I'm not familiar.
Go ahead, Dale.
Oh, that's when as the sun is shining through the clouds and the water vapors in the clouds, it reflects and refracts the light. And it actually sends two beams of the sunlight out to the side. So sometimes you'll see one, an extra little, it's like a small sun. And if you're really lucky, you'll see three, because some way it just bifurcates that beam somehow. And you have these three little spots across there. You have a one big sunspot, but then you have a smaller little, little sunspot on each side. Yeah.
So it's not like there's rainbows in there or anything.
No, that's why. And somehow they came up with that
the
name.
spots are rainbow colored.
Yeah. So it's beautiful. Yeah.
Now
They're
I've
just
seen
not
like
a
little
streak.
streaks, like
Yes.
little patches, like a short patch. Is that what you're talking about? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That makes
Yep.
sense.
It's called a
All
sun
right,
dog.
So Dale, what does this part of that symbol mean?
So this is the Huna master symbol. So it's the eye of Kanaloa. So if you can imagine Kanaloa being our spirit or divine self. So with the Huna master symbol, we have the 7-point star in the center. So that's the Pleiadian star, the seven sisters, right? From the Cherokee, the Maya. And notice how the bottom point of that star, it points down. So that's the Pleiadian, or sometimes called the fairy star. And then we have 7 elements in the Huna. So when we do our master symbol with that, we draw the star first. So it's Ike, Kala, Makia, Manawa, Aloha, Mana, Pono. And then we do the 4 spiritual selves of who we are, our psychological selves. This is Lono, Ku, Kane, and Kanaloa. So that's our conscious self, our subconscious self, our super conscious self, and then our God or divine self. Yeah. And
That's easy for you to say.
It is very easy. And in English, of course, it'd be it's be aware, be free, be focused, be here, be loved, be strong, be healed, or be effective.
Now,
So
I like it better in Hawaiian.
So in Huna 1, we learn it in English, and then in Huna 2 class, we bump it up a little, and then we learn it in Hawaiian. So we have the vibration, because it's very important in the Huna language to make sure we have that vibration. Like when we say alo, it's a ha breath. So alo, is how we do aloha. Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So we've kind of gotten that introduction a little bit about this Huna and what that means and the rainbow and the energy, and all that. So let's talk a little bit about shells and how that comes into it, and give us a little bit of the history there. And we were talking before.
Yeah, talking before, especially related to what a lot of our audience knows of as stones and crystals.
Yes.
And they're not as familiar to the sisterhood of seashells, so to speak.
So you can imagine then being on the island, of course, they don't have natural quartz crystal, because all the Hawaiian islands and of course the Polynesian islands, they come up from the volcanic eruptions, right? So it's basalt, the basalt lava that comes up. So we don't have a crystal quartz or silicon dioxide type formations that you have here on the mainland. So
what about obsidian?
Obsidian, well, yeah, but usually you don't find it that much. You find a lot of peridot.
Not out there, but mainland
obsidian. It's not there as much as the peridot is.
On East Coast.
So what happens? We use the seashells, which in themselves are, seashells are either calcium carbonate, which we commonly know them as, or it's aragonite or aragonite crystals. So they are crystals. And the thing is, aragonite or aragonite that we use that word, that's just the word for calcium carbonate. And we know that as, limestone, marble, right? Different aspects of that. So the aragonite, that comes from the word Aragon. That was a village or town or region in Spain. And that's where that was first discovered. Well, it's just calcium carbonate mixed with seawater. And it turns into what we say is aragonite or aragonite. And so now with the new scientific stuff, we know that, okay, it's calcium carbonate, but it's aragonite crystals. And so what happens, that's what the seashells are made of. So they are crystals in a sense, but it's not the quartz crystals, silicon dioxide that we have here on the mainland. Yeah. And so, go ahead.
I have a technical question for you related to what you were just saying. Are all seashells 100% calcium carbonate, or are there other minerals involved as well, or something? Or are they really are just different colors of calcium carbonate?
Yeah, all the ones I've seen, and calcium carbonate is coral also. That's the skeleton.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a variation.
For some reason, it's just this calcium carbonate. When it mixes with the seawater, the magic just happens, and it turns it into this aragonite crystals. Yeah.
Well, that makes me wonder because I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I mean, I know it's calcium, but what are our bones made of?
Yeah, calcium. Yes.
So it's got calcium. I don't know about and we're carbon-based creatures, so there's got to be some mixture of that in bones. And I love, Margot, your story about a young man who was at a wedding party. Y'all were doing a wedding, and you were on the side talking to this young guy. And tell that story about telling him what shells were.
I'm pleased you remember it, because it was surreal and cool at the same time. But my husband was officiating a beach wedding, and I wasn't photographing it, but I was sitting off to the side, watching and being his assistant. And after the wedding party itself had maybe 20 or 30 guests, and some of them were teenagers. And I was sitting in the sand off to the side, and I had a few seashells, and I was playing with the sand, drawing symbols and having fun with the sand a little bit. And these 2 or 3 teenage boys, they were maybe 13, 15, 16 years old. Maybe not 13, maybe like 14, 17. But they came up, and they saw me messing with the seashells, and they were bored because the wedding had finished and they were doing adult stuff. And they came, and there were seashells, happened to be just after low tide. Yeah, so there was a lot of seashells in the area, and they were picking it up and looking at them, and they got closer and closer to me they were literally within just a couple of feet of me. And one of the boys picked up a seashell, and he said, "Excuse me, ma'am, can I ask you a question?" And I'm like, "Sure." And because I hadn't spoken to him, they hadn't spoken to me, and I guess he just got a vibe. Yeah, this is somebody I can ask these kind of questions. And he said, "What is this made of?" And he had a typical seashell in his hand. He said, "What is this?" And his friends were like, "Dude, that's a seashell. You know that." And he's like, No. He said, he giggled. He said, yeah, I know that. He said, "But I'm asking, do you know what it's made of? What else? What is it? Where does it come from?" And I said, "Oh, that is actually a skeleton from a creature in the sea." And he was like, What? And I said, "You know how insects have their skeleton on the outside of their body, and humans have their skeleton on the inside of their body? Well, in the ocean, a lot of the animals have their skeleton on the outside. And it's a general term, but basically, you're holding somebody's..." I wanted to freak him out a little. He's a teenager. I was like, "You're holding somebody's skeleton." And he was like, "Dude, that's so cool." And he was like, "Dudes, come here. And they just kept asking me questions about that kind of stuff. And they sat down with me, sort of in a half circle in front of me, and just were asking all kinds of questions about beach life, living things. What else lives there? What else is there? What I've seen such and such wash up. What was that? What is a jellyfish? Da 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 da. And it went on for like 5 minutes. But it was really intriguing because it was very obvious that this was a city boy who had very little interaction with seashells before. But it was for those few minutes, it was very surreal feeling that they didn't know me from Eve. They never asked me my name. I never asked them their name. They just got it. They basically said, "Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Have a good one." And they hopped up and went and did teenager things with the crowd. And I was like, where'd that come from? I've never had that happen before on the beach. I mean, in a Reiki class, sure, but strangers on the beach. That was cool. Thank you for remembering that, Iris.
Oh, I love it, and I can almost see it in my head. And to me, it seems like it was one of those moments where you suddenly feel like there's nobody else around. That you're just so in that moment.
Yes, and that's exactly what he did. Is whatever he was studying that seashell, and his bubble just went way, 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 way on out, and it eventually encompassed me because I was only like 3 feet away, and he recognized that I was inside of his bubble spontaneously. Yeah, it was all very, every bit of it was spontaneous. It was really cool. It was really cool. Yeah, yeah.
So and you were mentioning just you mentioned coral a minute ago. I can show. I've got a couple of pieces. Okay, let's see. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's in fact, I don't know how you can tell, like there's the little spiny pieces in there, and
It's almost like a brain coral. Yeah.
yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
And then I've got another one that's got the divots and stuff, and you can see the tracks inside. And then that's like, I guess, the part that was on the.
So Dale, earlier you were helping us understand a classification between shells that have straight points on them versus a spread flat plane type. Do coral fall under those same descriptions of energy movement, or is that a different classification?
Yeah, that would be a different, because the coral, that's actually the skeleton of the animal that's in the coral. A lot of people don't realize coral is an animal, right?
Yeah.
They just see the coral, they see the skeleton, which that is, but that would certainly provide a foundation of centering with a water element. And that would be wonderful for that type of use. You could place that on the body to center yourself. And remember, coral is not necessarily grounded since it's in water, even though it's attached to somewhat the ocean floor. But, anytime we're talking about water, we're not grounding with water, we're centering.
We're moving something. Yeah.
Yeah, because remember, water that's grounded, that's called a flood. That's generally not a good thing for most people. So we center with water, the same with air, we center. Whereas earth, of course, is grounding, and of course, fire can be both. So, yeah.
Very cool.
So
Interesting. I sort of get that, but not completely. So I'm wondering.
So Dale, circle around to that from another perspective. Could you expound a little bit about what I mentioned with the points and the linear versus the spread and the flat?
Yeah. So here's a pointer here, and this is called an Atlantic spindle, right? And it looks like a little spindle thing. So this would be and anytime you see a shell like this, you can tell with this needs to be aerodynamic in water. That's because they live in water that has a lot of current. So they have to be very strong, because otherwise, if they couldn't deflect the water, it would push them all over the place. So this type of shell, then, it would direct energy like the tip of a quartz crystal. So we could use that. Also, you can hold this and you can imagine drawing or writing the symbol or words on that particular part of the body. Use it for that. So compare that to, let's say, a cowrie shell. So this is very rounded, and so it has a very feminine shape. So this, of course, is going to be for calming. And so, with this type of shell, that means this was in calm water. So the currents were very calm, so it could be all bulbous like this, whereas this one, a very fast current.
It got moved around a lot.
So this directs the energy like a laser beam, and this energy here, this is very calm.
I'm picking up on the spiral effect of the seashell, the natural golden mean, golden ratio, Fibonacci that's going on inside of it. Yeah.
And then
this one has the teeny tiny point
Yeah, that
in
has
it.
the teeth, right.
But
So-
what's interesting is there is another shell stuck
Wedged
in
in
it,
it.
Oh,
and I cannot get that out.
no,
It is
don't want to
stuck
take
in
that
there.
out. Yeah.
Starts growing in.
Like when you see a crystal within a crystal kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And then this would be a spreader. So a typical scallop type shell or a clam shell, something like this. So you can imagine when you place this on the body, like the term spreader, right? It spreads the energy out. So that's what we want. Yeah, we wear it for a yarmulke or wear it for a bra. It spreads that energy out. So that's what we want to do. Yeah, with the spreader. So, yeah,
And
so
what you have is a
so,
scallop,
yeah, like a scallop shell. That'd be a spreader. Yeah.
and Iris's seashells are called what?
And that's good. That could be in kind of like a little clam shell. Yeah.
A type of
And,
clam.
and of course, you find a lot of what Iris has got. If you go to the dollar store or the $1.25 store now, you'll find a whole little
With $5 stuff too.
yeah. And so you can find those shells there at the dollar store now.
You can, and this is a lion's paw.
Yeah, very good. And the
Oh,
lion's paw, you can use that like you use the abalone shell for smudging. You can
Yes.
put smudge in it because that shell is so thick. Yeah, so it makes it great for that.
Yes.
oh.
Yeah, we've got abalone smudge shells all over the place. I did. You know what? They're so common around my house. I didn't even think about picking it up as a seashell. To me, that's a tool that you use in healing and smudging.
Yeah.
I was like, I forgot that is a seashell. Woo, that's so funny. That's awesome. So I'm thinking, maybe I'm being intuitive too, but because the information that's coming in is you're talking about, I want to go back to the spiral thing.
Yeah.
And you're talking about the directional pointing of it. And I immediately saw the energy going,
Yes.
getting, bigger, and typically in a human, it spirals up or spirals down or whatever you got going on. Is that, I don't know how to ask this question. Is that is that a part of what you teach when you're teaching this with your students?
Yes, you're exactly right on. Right. So let's say we're doing a chakra spread on someone and they're
Right.
face down on the table. So you're putting the spreader shells, so these little flat shells, right? You're putting those little spreader shells on each chakra. And so you go from crown to root. Well, with the pointer shells, we would place that right on the C7 or right above the chakra on the table itself. And then we would have it pointed down from the root chakra, so it goes down towards the feet. So that way, as you said, as the energy is spiraling up the chakras, we have these little spirals on the end of
supporting it.
Spindle, that mimics that vibration, because that's what we want. We want to have a vibration, and we want to be able to direct the energy in that way, and we use that with the natural tools.
So you would do something like this on the body, like have one and
Yes.
then have the and run them down. Yeah, so.
Right. You would put that on the chakras, and like Jeannie, she's these little white shells. She's written words inside, so you could write peace, love, harmony.
Hold it up to your camera so we could see it.
Oh yeah. Wait,
Oh,
see how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Wait a minute.
Enjoy.
Oh, it's like writing like Leonardo da Vinci. Okay. The camera's backwards, but yeah. So joy, peace, love. Yeah, you can write that on the inside, and you would place these right on the top of the chakra. Right?
Like messages in water.
Right. So that way you
Increase
have
the
a chakra.
vibration. Yeah.
it doesn't matter how much you wash shells, though; they still get sand everywhere.
Well, that's because they're calcium.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to shed. Just
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah, and remember that sand is silicon dioxide, so that is pulverized quartz crystals. So yeah,
Yes.
it's wonderful. You don't want to wash too much of that off. Yeah.
That's
That
true.
When I was talking with those boys, they were like, "So what is sand?" I said,
Yes.
"It's what you're holding in your hand after it gets disintegrated." They're like,
Is it does it?
how
but you
deep
know
does
what's
it go? I was like, miles, and they're like,
But you
"Whoa!"
Sand to make glass.
Yes. When you heat the
Certain
sand,
kinds
yes,
of
it makes
sand.
glass. Yes.
Certain kinds of sand, not all sand.
Well, yeah, but I mean, so which came first, the sand or the shells?
Shane, ask the chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes.
Because you take sand and it's like, oh, well, we're going to spin it, and then you're going to have a shell.
Yeah.
but then you grind it down and it's sand again. Is it, dust to dust and earth to earth and all that good
It's
stuff? Or
it's dust to dust. Just I'm
Yes.
thinking sand makes mountains and mountains crumble into sand. So which one came first?
Yeah, and
The
it takes a
fault.
while for sand, because that's why in Hawaii, Kauai, which is way out to the northwest, it has lots of beaches and sand. So does Oahu, so does Maui. But when you get to the Big Island, they really don't have those rocky beaches because it's a newer island, right? It's what, 1 million years old or something. So it
Right.
hasn't had time to develop all that churning from the waves to make sand. So a lot of times they have to ship in sand to put in the resort areas because there's no natural sand.
There's no
holy
beach.
cow! So what is it, like lava rock?
No, it's just pulverized, just seashells, fossils, stones,
Oh,
yeah, lava. That's why in Hawaii you have different color sand because depending on the color of the lava, you have the black sand, or you have the little reddish sand, or you have like it's the chocolate milk colored sand. Yeah, it's just because of the basalt and the lava. Yeah.
All right, so it's sort of what
wow.
we would call gravelly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
where the sand
Yes.
is not. It would
Yeah.
be sort of gravelly.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. So
So
then why is it like at the Gulf, the sand is super white?
Yeah.
And I think it's whiter in the Bahamas too, although it's been years since I've been there.
why?
Why is it whiter there and different? Like on our coast, the sand is much different than in the northern coast too.
Yes. Mhm. Yeah.
And I mean, what's the deal? Is it different color creatures, more pulverization, or what?
Right, and it's been there a long time. Remember, we're talking millions, if not billions, of years that's been there. And who knows the big meteorite that hit that made the Gulf of Mexico, however long ago that was. I mean, that
Added more
impact itself
minerals.
when it
Yeah.
just blew up and brought all that white, beautiful silicon dioxide to the surface and made all that beautiful white.
Oh,
So we're talking
cool.
about turning up the Earth's crust
Yes.
a little bit, as well as the calcium remnants of living creatures.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Yes.
the ocean is just a giant tumbler. I mean, it's tumbling for
Right.
millions of years, and it's
What if
making
it's dinosaur bones? And that's
same
why
thing
there's
for
so much
dinosaurs.
oil in Texas, because
That's
it's
right.
right there.
So everything.
Very
Hey,
cool. So
it's science. I can
this
dream.
absolutely, absolutely. So sort of a left turn question, but still related. Pele.
Pele.
Is Pele related to this seashell culture in any
The
way, shape,
soccer
or
player?
form? Okay, so go ahead and explain Pele.
Don't know about the soccer player. Matter of fact, I think he's
I
passed
do.
over now. I believe
Yeah.
he passed recently. But now, if we're talking about the fire goddess of Hawaii,
Yeah.
remember the Pele? It's a Polynesian goddess. But in Hawaii, of course, she started in Kauai because that was the first island. Right as the island chain's moving northwest towards Japan. That was the
Yes.
first volcano stuff that came to the top and made Kauai. And now, the tectonic plates are moving northwest. And then Oahu got built. So Pele made her way from Kauai to Oahu, and then down to Lanai and Molokai and Maui, and then to Big Island, where she is now at Kilauea volcano at the crater. So that's where
Where did
Pele is currently situated, because that is the active volcano. So she's there, the fire goddess.
Where do
Oh,
they think
fire
she's
goddess.
going?
Okay.
Where do they think she's going?
It could be the new volcano that's off to the southeast of Big Island, because I forgot what it's called. It's got a couple of different names, but already the volcano, it's erupting underwater. So it's already forming land, and maybe in another 50,000 years.
100,000, right? 50,000 years. So triangulation, is she heading for Mexico, or is she heading for Easter Island and South America?
Yeah, no, I think she'll stay right there, because that seems to be a hot spot, because the islands are formed, but as the plates shift, they're all going to the northwest.
Yeah, but she's an independent intelligence. She'll go wherever the hell she wants.
If there's a volcano, you can believe that Pele.
Alaska, she can go all the way under the plate and come up on the other side in Alaska.
She's a goddess. She's unlimited. So yeah, she can go anywhere.
A little bit off topic, but not so much. You're familiar with the arcs that are in they're all over the world. There's supposed to be 7 or 12 or something like that. One of them is in Polynesia, and I was listening to a broadcast. I'm a little bit off topic, but not quite. The main volcano on the Big Island. What's the name of it again? Kauai?
On the Big Island, it'd be
Yeah.
Kilauea, but they may be talking about
Kilauea.
Mauna Kea or Mauna Loa.
Mauna Kea.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mauna Kea, Mauna Loa. And it's apparently a sister energy to Mount Fuji,
Oh,
which
that's
is also
exciting. Yes.
which is also a volcano, actually.
Okay,
rather
Marco,
than-
for me and the benefit of our viewers, would you explain what arcs are? Because, arcs are in a rainbow, arcs are with Noah and the animals. What are you talking about?
All right. So, in the concept of arcs are used in a lot of context as an ARK as a carrier, ARC as an arch of light. And what they're figuring out is that light is information and data all by itself. So anything electricity and arcing is actually a communication, data, information. It's carrying information from one point to another. Yet, so therefore, the word arc is ARK is still related. And
Or is
apparently,
that ARC in that case?
it doesn't matter how you spell it. They mean
that's
the same
right.
thing.
That's right.
Yeah, the vibration. Yeah.
The vibration is the same. Besides that, we're slowly moving away from English as a universal language. So inclusion and letting go of spelling and grammar is going to become more normal. But back to your question, there is apparently some researchers of note. I do have names, but I don't want to say them on this show quite yet.
Okay.
But there are scientific researchers that are in communication with, let's call them caches or stores of information inside of ancient technology that apparently is being stored at very sensitive points all over the globe. Mount Fuji is one. Hawaii, they call it Polynesia. I think that's to be discreet, but Hawaii's got another one. There's another one in the Ukraine. Ting, ting, ting.
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding. And there is another one that I'm particularly fascinated with because of our mutual friend Amy in Florida, underneath one of the state parks. Dale, that one has let's call it an entourage of security beings who have communicated about who's in charge of that particular cache of information in Florida. And the name of the leader is Ningazita, which is a variation of a symbol for Usui Reiki, which I found fascinating as well. I was like, oh, because that's a totally different culture from Japanese or Sanskrit or Tibetan. The point being, this stuff is getting more and more universal as we go. But yeah, Mount Fuji and the one on the Big Island are immediately connected.
Yes.
Because through the fire gods. The fire gods are the ones that are connecting it.
Yes.
Are the beings that are connecting it.
So Pele is not the fire god; she's a fire god.
Goddess.
Goddess, I mean.
Goddess. No, she is the fire goddess. Yes.
Oh, there's only one?
Yeah, she's it. Yeah.
Okay. So who are
Very
the fire
cool.
gods then? Or is
That was just me generically talking
okay.
without slowing down for gender specific.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought there was more than one or something.
So does Pele, coming back to a little bit more on topic that we were, does Pele and the association or the description or the legends or whatever you want to call them, communications with her, does she particularly have an affinity for certain kinds of seashells or a certain type of seashell? Or is there a different goddess that does that in the Hawaiian culture or the Huna culture or however you're supposed to say that?
No, I'm not aware if Pele has a particular seashell that she would work
affinity.
in. She's primarily the fire. So the basalt, the lava, the spewing forth, that's the Pele energy.
She would burn any seashell that came near her.
Exactly.
All right.
She's the creative energy as fire is. Remember, fire ignites and lights and brights us. So yes, she's strictly fire energy.
Absolutely. Thank you. That was cool. That just drifted across my mind as well. So what else would you like to share with us about seashell magic?
Yeah. So the seashells, then, the wonderful thing about placing them on the body, for instance, let's say you have we talked about this earlier. If you're around the beach this summer, I got these in Hawaii. So a little coaster, and these are the rounded shells. Bring that closer. You can see it's a rounded shell, but this is coaster size. So imagine if you place that on each chakra as someone was lying down on a table. And that way, if you wish, you could place a crystal right on top. And that would be a wonderful thing. Or you could place the little spreader shells right on top. So the ones that like little clam shells, little birds in it. Or if you preferred, you could put a little herb in this, or you could put any kind of stone or crystal in it and lay that on top of the little coaster thing, right? And also, of course, you can go in, and if you get in those beach shops, maybe you can find one as big as a trivet. So imagine somebody having back pain. You could place that right on top in the center of all that back pain and allow that energy to work.
He mentioned herb. I was thinking bong.
Yeah. That'll work. Yeah. You can always do that. That's natural, sure. Grows in Hawaii. Yeah, that's what Maui Wowie is, right?
Sorry,
show us that beautiful star-shaped one that you had that sort of worked that was a trivet but bigger.
Oh, yeah.
You had a third one that was really big. That was
this is don't know if I can get that.
Oh, wow.
Really, so you can see how it's like a trivet. So imagine placing that as somebody that has some lower back or middle back pain going on. Imagine lying face down on the table, and you place that right on top. And then if you had a crystal or something, you can place that on top.
It looks almost like it would be a spreader plus a pointer, like pointing
just about,
out
yes.
directions.
Right. And then what you would do is you take your little pointer, and if let's say you're doing Reiki, well, you could just in the air draw the master symbol or draw a chokure or any other symbol right above that little seashell. That way it would empower it with the Reiki energy. So the good things with the shells, if you're doing Reiki or Huna, Huna being the kahiloa, working with the 7 elements of fire, wind, water, stone, plant, animal, and human, the body's staying still, so you could place those things on the body and you would just work around it. So imagine you could do your Reiki hand positions around that body part, and it will still be resonating with that vibration of the stone and with the symbol, with the shell rather. Yeah.
So the shell, what you're describing is the shells act like conductors?
Yes, exactly.
Of energy?
Yes.
All right. Do they generate an energy of their own besides being a conductor?
Well, yeah, depending on the stone. For instance, if you have the cowrie shell, of course, this in itself is going to project a sense of calm, because not only does it live in calm currents or the calm waters, but also it's a rounded shape, so very feminine. So if you could place that right on a place that has I would use this, for instance, on a new pain. So if I had somebody just sprain an ankle or just sprain a knee, hip or side or something's hurting, back's hurting, but it's brand new, I would place this on that part of the body. And then you can do your energy symbols above it. And then that way that calmness would flow over that particular part of the body. But now if I have old pain, this is what I would bring out my little pointer crystal or quartz crystal, same way. That way you want to work that energy like a laser, like you would the tip of the quartz crystal. And, so you would just go different ways, after you've said, if you do a Reiki symbol or Huna symbol, or just say aloha or love and draw a heart, say a prayer, right? And you can start working a circle around the area of old pain, because, it's set in there. So, and then make the circle go the other way, right? And then do a figure 8, right? So and then do a square, right? Because we want some way, somehow, we want this little pointed, focused intention of energy going into that body part in a specific way, like you're just drawing on it. And we want to make sure we cover the whole space. So that's why we want all the different shapes. And if you're in the sacred geometry, do the sacred geometry. Well, if you drew a Merkaba shape, or an octagon or a dodecagon, right? Or a casahedron, right? So same thing. So imagine this is just your little laser point, and you're drawing that energy straight into that area. So you can see how this is very male oriented because it's straight energy. You know, male energy is very straight.
The direct energy.
Right.
Well, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Well, like on mine, my pointer end is more rounded, so would I use this pointy end
Yes,
instead?
right. Yes.
Okay.
So use that pointed end. Yes. Yeah. And you know, we talked about something earlier too about the seashells. You know, that's what calcite is. So can you see the orange calcite, the blue calcite? So we probably have these in tumbled stones. Well, this is what the seashells are made out of. It's just it's called aragonite because it's mixed with seawater. So something about seawater or salt water turns it into the aragonite crystals. But
Tons of electrolytes.
calcite
Yeah.
you have at home. So yeah.
Yeah. I remember in childhood so many times playing at the beach in the summertime, and little kids. So you get cuts and scratches all the time. You know, you have brothers and sisters, we rough and tumble. Go play in the water, go play in the ocean for a few minutes, and boom, that cut was healed within hours instead of days
Yeah, exactly.
from being inland. It heals just hanging out in there initially will just totally heal your
I know
skin.
people that have bad acne that they go to the beach and it just all dries out and gets better. Other wounds, you know, all kinds of
Yeah.
wounds that get healed. You go in the water.
It ionizes so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
So specifically, all right, I got another type of specific question that has to do with seashell structure. All right, yes, you were talking about this is, you know, the directionality,
Right.
you know, it goes that way. So does that make this end a receiving end and that where obviously the energy is coming out? So basically that becomes a catcher?
Yes, I would, and that way, as it catches, notice how the shells form. So that means that energy, that vibration, goes in this wonderful spiral.
Ah, that's true.
How we move through the cosmos,
Yeah.
right? We're in a wonderful.
It has to spiral in
Yeah.
and exit
Wow.
out that side.
Exactly. And the cowrie shell too. You know, you can just hold this in your hand, just place it in both hands, and place your hands in your lap, and just meditate with that, and just notice the sense of calm that comes over you. Better yet, if you have a little bit of ocean water, surf water playing in the background, and just hold this in your hand and let it be a calm meditation. Just do your measured breathing and just relax.
Very cool. Do you have music that you recommend, or musicians, or particular music channels that you recommend for such things?
Yeah, I would do just find you of course, I'm old school, so I've got CDs and iPods and things. So, but if you can find music online that's, you know, surf, but you want it to be a gentle surf. You know, you don't want to rage in the surf like the North Shore of Oahu in the wintertime, right? You want this to be relaxing. So find a nice gentle surf, especially those moments where, you know, when the surf comes in and it gets quiet, eerily quiet. You know, you hear it go out sometimes.
For a long time.
Yeah, that's what you want. You want that calm, soothing vibration of the water churning, and then hold that cowrie shell in your hand and just meditate and be calm.
Thank you. That's cool.
Oh,
So-
nice fact. Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Thank you, Jeannie.
She says cowrie shells have been used to assist with childbirth for thousands of years.
Yes.
Interesting.
Got to be a calming effect. So.
I was going to say, yeah, very much needed during that time.
Yes.
Well, and it's
For
interesting
sure.
too because it deals with water and that whole process. Now, I don't think we talked about it on this show, and if we did, just tell me and say, "Or shut up." But I think we mentioned it before coming. You were talking about like the difference in. Okay, I know what it was. There are two articles that I found, and I'll share the links with everybody. But it says one of the articles says that we relate to shells because the body is because the shells come from the sea and the body is like 70% water. And I thought that was interesting. And Dale, you mentioned something about being careful about there's a difference between water and flooding and that kind of thing. Do you remember that, or can you talk about that?
Yeah, that's when we're talking about centering and grounding. You know, we always talking about folks that are running around like a chicken with their head cut off. Well, you need to be grounded. You hear people uttering those words. But remember, if your astrology sign is earth, you can ground. That's what you do. You can't help but ground, right? You're a grounded person, four-legged, you're on the ground, you're on the earth, and that's who you are. But what happens with air signs and water signs, we don't want you to ground. We want you to center, right? So center being we have the heavens and we have the earth, and our heart is at the center. And that's where we want you to be. Because when an air sign grounds, that's called a tornado. That's generally not a good thing. And when a water element grounds, that's called a flood. Again, not necessarily a good thing. Okay? So water and air signs, we want you to center, right? Now, luckily, fire, we can do both. So fire can ground because, you can use fire for cooking, a campfire. You can manage fire with, a match. But also, fire can be centered and fire can ground. But not for air and water. You make sure you concentrate on centering whenever you do things. As a matter of fact, change that vocabulary, that vibration. Well, I just got to get grounded. No, you can never be grounded. If you get grounded as an air and water, you're going to be miserable.
Yeah,
I need to pay attention to that more.
You're doing something you can't do. Yeah. So you've got to be centered. So make sure you are aware of that as far as your astrology.
Very cool. Very
Don't
cool.
ground air and water. Make
No.
Center.
Yes, center.
I will
To the
remember.
meter. So you said you had two articles there, Iris. What was the other one?
Oh, the other one. Well, one was that shells. Okay, shells can be used for the treatment of calcium deficiencies. It mends broken bones with enhancement and assimilation of vitamin A and D, strengthens the circulatory system, renews physical energy of the wearer, and is effective for issues like communication and speech. It can help. Seashells are known to relax the emotions and bring peace within oneself, provides boundless growth in all areas of life, stimulating imagination, adaptability, and assisting sensitivity. It's impactful on one's learning and retention capabilities and bestows great intuitive and artistic energy. Spiritual healing, symbolizing the water and moon, shells have great efficiency to make an individual expressive. This is clam, but I think they meant calm and soft-hearted. It reduces stress and accelerates the healing process at the spiritual, physical, and emotional levels. It's associated with the third eye chakra of opening vision, intuition, and spiritual insight. When used in meditation, it connects you with the spiritual masters, making a perfect balance between healing, growth, and wisdom. Known as the stone of purification and regeneration, these vacated houses of marine animals are found all over the world. Pink colored shells are regarded as most valuable, while colors like orange, brown, white, and black follow. So that's the one article. And then the other one describes a woman's experience getting a healing session with shells. And when she finished it, she came back and she said she felt rejuvenated, and looking it up, found out that shells' association with ocean water resonates with the water in our bodies. So it's no surprise that we're greatly influenced by the water element. And when they're placed on the body and used in conjunction with channeled energy, they can work on many levels: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So that, I thought those were cool. And I put the links in the chat.
So you're talking about the colors of them. This is, got a ton of color in it. This is the Triton Poo. Triton named, which is interesting because the Triton is sort of a European word, and Poo is definitely a Polynesian word. But this is one that David and I blow at weddings. And I would blow it for you now, but Iris and I have already discovered that when you try to make a loud noise over this podcast, the microphones cancel it out and you hear and you guys will hear nothing. But go ahead.
And this is the Caribbean conch shell. So it's like the conch shell Iris has got, but notice how it's just sawn off at the top. You need a bandsaw, and this one has a little brace fitting on it that makes it easier for your lips to seal.
Yep. So Iris has a Carolina East Coast version, and Dale was showing you a Caribbean seashell, and this one comes from the Pacific.
Yeah.
This would be a heck of a brass knuckle.
It would. Because this creature, the Triton Poo, is a carnivore. He's a badass. He eats everything. He eats coral. He eats other Triton Poos. They are.
Wow.
That's a big animal in there.
Yeah, they're slowly aggressive.
Are they like slugs?
Yeah. So they would look like a slug to you, but they do have a foot shell pad that they're up inside that they can close off. They can pull it in and close off the opening. Yeah, they have an oval shaped shell thing. I think they call it a cap or a lid.
Remember the big giant pink snail in Dr. Dolittle? I loved the original movie with Rex Harrison. Yeah, I was old enough to see it when it hit the theaters the first time. So I was young enough to see it. I'm old enough to remember it. And he had this giant shell, and it came up on the coast of Africa, and it was going to take him across the ocean back somewhere, and he could get in it. It was like a house with a spiral staircase and that kind of thing inside, and it was like, that is really cool. And it would talk to him, and it sounded kind of like a, you know,
echoing off the walls.
Yeah.
So inland seashells, you know what? You made me think of something, Iris. I would assuming basically the same principles apply to snail shells.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna. They're, even though some of them are not seagoing creatures, but maybe
especially with those that have that spiral. If you can find those shells that have the spiral, because that's just going to spiral the energy into a very focused area. So that's wonderful. So imagine having the spiral on the body, and then you do your Reiki symbol or Huna symbol over the top of it, or say a prayer.
Direction.
Yeah. You know what's really interesting? I've got a book, and I wish I could go grab it, but it's a thin book, but I bought it. And it's the true story of this woman. It's like her autobiography of a time when she was sick. She was recovering or trying to recover from cancer. And she went to a house that was in the woods that she was staying at. It was like a friend's house or something, but she was by herself. And like her sister would come and check on her. But one of the things she did when she went out, when she was at the early stages of her treatments and all, she found a teeny tiny snail. And she brought it inside and put it like in a terrarium kind of thing. And she talks about laying there and watching it and how it helped her heal the whole process and the energy from it. And she could actually hear it eating the grass and leaves that she brought to it. And she could hear it going, chomp, 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 on it, that it was so quiet, all that kind of stuff. And I was out front and sitting on my porch stoop at my front door, and I looked down and I saw a teeny snail one day, and I picked him up, and I mean, he was just, I've got video of it somewhere where, I just took his little video, and he was just walking around and they're just so cool and so meditative, so it's easy to see why that would be.
Snails
you can use them alive. You don't have to wait for them to die, and you don't have to mistreat them or kill them. Now slugs, I don't give a crap about, but snails are cute.
Shell here, baby.
But this is a good time of year since beach season is coming up for shamans to go down to the beach area and find their own shells for that purpose. Because anytime you use your energy in creating or locating your shaman tools, that just puts more energy into it. Yeah, so if you can go to the beach, and you may not can find those pointed shells, you have to go to a tourist shop for that. But a lot of the clam shells and the spreaders, sand dollars, right, very feminine shape.
Oh yeah,
find those on the beach in the early morning before people get out there. So
and the conch,
when you go to the beach.
Sometimes the
just don't pick up live sand dollars, and don't pick up live starfish.
Yeah.
Let them die naturally, and then go find their corpses.
And always give an offering.
Yeah. Somebody says, "Oh, are you seashell hunting?" No, I'm finding corpses. It's a forensic trip.
Just make sure you take an offering though, and make sure you ask before you take the seashell. Make sure they want to go home with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a liminal space, liminal, the space between, the magical space of infinite possibility. Yeah. Ocean and the land, day and the night, go at sunset, go at sunrise. and hit a liminal time as well and get all the dimensions into the highest possibility, highest potential for for collecting your shaman tools, as he said. Absolutely. Yeah.
Can I
Get in
bring a
that
sleeping
magic in
bag and
between.
stay out in your front yard and go to the beach?
You could. A lot of people do exactly that. They have. So not my front yard, but because my front yard is this big. but yeah, the ocean is 1.5 miles from here. At night, I go outside. You can hear it just fine. You can hear it overnight. It's at first I heard it all the time, and I was like, and I had to get used to the sound of a train constantly going by in the distance. And now, if it's really quiet, like the atmospheric pressure gets really high, and the tide goes super far way out, really low tide, so it's far away, and you can't hear it 1.5 miles in, it's too quiet, and it's creepy.
Wow.
Once you get used to hearing it, it's like being it's a mother's womb kind of sound, that whoosh roar, really slow whoosh, really slow roar.
Well, it's like people in New York and they can't deal with the country quiet,
Can't deal with the country quiet. So if you're curious, I was going to say, talking about the sound, I saw you earlier, you were listening to some of your seashells, and I was thinking about the sound and the sound healing that you can get out of seashell medicine too. I was going to say contact is awesome. I was like, ooh, we could probably do some sound therapy with this. These sound like foghorns. What we classify
when you blow them, not from the inside. And
that's true.
I saw a whole bunch of memes where it's like, no, you're not hearing the ocean. You're hearing your arteries and blood moving.
The air. Yeah, exactly.
But isn't that cool that it sounds like the ocean, that our bodies.
The holographic universe, everything is repeated. Absolutely. But this is what they used for ship horns in the Pacific cultures before metal and electricity came to mankind. That's why those modern ship horns are modeled after what these sound like, not the other way around. Which also blows young people's minds when you tell them that. They're like, yeah, metal and electricity have not always been here, but boats have, right? Oh, yeah. Think about what else is still here that used to be here that is still here.
That is
cool. Something else. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dale, can you, before we roll off and go too far, could you tell us a little bit about your latest publications?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So currently working on the book for this year. I thought that since I'd written some they were kind of medium to advanced philosophically for shaman stuff. So I wanted to write one that was dealing with just basic shamanism for those that are just starting the path. So this one is just called Simply Shaman, Modern Shaman. And it's the way of the turtle. So simply aware, simply connected. Yeah. So, and I use the turtle shell, the 13 segments of the turtle shell for different perspectives on relationships, the elements, and also different facets of our life, and try to relate that to how we can be aware of it and how we can connect to those as a beginning shaman. So that should be out in June. I'm almost finished with that.
Wow.
And the title of it will be?
It's Simply Shaman, Modern Shaman, and it's a way of the turtle, simply aware and simply connected.
What else do you have out right now for those people who cannot wait?
Oh, yes. And so what we have out now, what we did from last year was a Simply Shaman Mystery School, and that's interdimensional shamanism, 3D, 4D, 5D, and beyond. And then we had one we did in 2021. That's the Shamanic Mystery School. So that's the chakras. So really the 7 temples of reality. So dealing from the root, navel, solar plexus, heart, right, throat, third eye, and crown, and different ceremonies and how to establish relationships with that particular chakra of the body. And then the first book I wrote in 2020, the ideals of ascension shamanism. And that deals with aloha. So spelling out what aloha means in an acronym, and then allowing ourselves to realize that we are always in ascension whenever we are in love. So whenever we see love, hear love, feel love, touch love, smell, taste love. We are ascending, and we just want to make sure we are aware of that. So we understand we are ascending, because every time we're influenced by love, we're not the same person we were a few seconds ago. So as shamans, we want to make sure that we continue that upward or expanded progress to be ascended shamans, because that's why we're here. Those of us who are here from other densities and dimensions, we didn't come to Earth to just work and order pizza and watch sports and
Get a
do
tan.
things and pay taxes and die. We're here for a purpose. So we have to realize our eternal purpose is love, and realize that everyone has unique skills or expressions of God. So, which is what we call Earth superpowers. So make sure you know what those are, because that's what you're here to do, and you're the only one that can do them that way. You may have 5 teachers in the room, but each person teaches in a different way to a different group of people. So we want to make sure you harness your skills, especially as modern shamans, because that's who we are. To recognize the mind, body, spirit, recognize our star people and what's going on with the Earth, with the planet, with 3D, 4D, 5D, because a lot's going on. So if you're feeling the energy and the pull in all directions, that's because as you're being pulled in all directions. So just stay calm, grab a cowrie shell, and just peace out.
Absolutely. Do you have plans for a book to come out in 24?
Yes, I'll do. I'm trying to do one a year, and so we'll see how's this one go, and I may switch to a fiction book, because I wrote one back in 2012. It was patterned kind of like a private investigator, so it's diamond in the rough, Reiki under fire. So it's patterned after my daughters, and of course they're Reiki masters and martial artists. So I think I want to write a sequence of that and bring in Cuba and the Chinese and Russian, make it a geopolitical thing again. And
Wow.
pull that in and see how that goes, especially with Taiwan and China, things going on there, and really the references politically to Cuba and the United States and Taiwan and China. There are a lot of differences, a lot of similarities there, and try to pull that into a little novel, because novels are fun. So
Absolutely, they are, and it's a wonderful change of pace for you as a writer to shift gears for a while. So Rosemary has a question for you. She says, where can we purchase these books?
Yes, go to Amazon. Amazon makes it easy. Just type in Dale Stacy, so SDACY. Yeah, and when you type that in, you should have 4 books should pop up, and that way you can choose those, and it has a little synopsis for each one, and just find the one that feels the best to you. Now, as far as the first book, the one in 2020, the Aloha book, the Ascension Shamanism, if you're a Kindle person and you pay to be part of that Kindle program, that book is 0 cost to you. So you can have it free because you're already paying for Kindle.
Very good. Excellent accesses. Thank you. Thank you, Rosemary. For sure. So, Iris, anything else?
Well, not related to this. I think it's been very informative, and I hope it's been informative to our audience as well. Dale, we really appreciate you coming and talking about this. And I'm kind of like thinking I'm going to have to go back and rewatch this and look up stuff and find, because it's like there's so much information that it's like, holy cow, I'm not going to catch it just in one sitting, So we appreciate you bringing your wealth of information to us again, Dale. Thank you so much.
Thank you much.
Much aloha.
Yes. Aloha. So, before we
go
buzz off, just to remind everybody, next week is psychic reading, so join us for that. Bring your questions for the mini readings. On the 24th, we're going to be live from Grafton, Illinois, which should be an adventure. And on May 31st, we're going to go cryptid with Bigfoot. So that's
Sasquatch. Our brothers and sisters of the fur.
Today I was doing something at school at the community college. They had a new student orientation, and this older gentleman comes through, and he's wearing a Sasquatch shirt, and he's like, it was talking about being isolated before COVID or something like that, and it was Sasquatch on the front of it. And I said, I love your shirt. I'm going to Grafton in a couple of weeks, and he just kind of looked at me like, I said, I'm going to a woo-woo conference. Don't worry about it.
And half of it is Sasquatch, yeah.
Yeah.
Cryptozoology for those of you that want to look into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, again, thank you, Dale, for joining us, and everybody
Thank you.
else, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Thank you for joining The Eyes of Indigo with Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears. Music is Arcadia by Kevin MacLeod of Incomptech.com, licensed under Creative Commons. Visit our Facebook page for broadcast details at www.facebook.com/Eyes of Indigo. Show is copyright 2023 by Iris Carter and Margot Ross Sears.